Welcome everyone to the first ATA live Q&A of 2025. But long overdue at the end of February, but yeah, we're going to keep them much more regular from now on. So thanks to everyone who's joined us. So yeah, we're about two-thirds of the way pretty much through Q1, which is usually the worst quarter of the year. And yeah, hopefully you guys have still been doing okay, even though the post-Christmas blues are a real thing. But yeah, if you guys have got any questions you want us to answer, pop them in the Zoom chat or in the Q&A questions channel. We've got a few already, which we'll go through in a bit. We're going to be doing a bit of live deal analysis as well. So if you've got any items that either you're not sure whether you want to buy, or maybe something that's you've bought and has tanked and you don't know whether to just get rid of the current price or whether to hold out, just yeah, give us a link and we'll have a look through for you. But yeah, welcome back. It's good to be back, isn't it?
Yeah, very good to be back. I was just thinking that when you were going through the intro, I was like, bloody hell, I have actually missed doing these. It's good fun.
Yeah, they're good fun, aren't they?
Yeah, jumping
Um,
on.
yeah. So how's your Q1 been so far, Harry?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's always a bit, I think for anyone doing selling online in any capacity, it's shit after Q4 because you see this like meteoric rise and then just kind of back down to reality a bit. But as long as you're kind of up V last year, I'm about 30% up since this point last year, so I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, you just got to kind of get through the storm, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Gage?
It's been a pretty slow one, to be honest. I think I've been more off the gas pedal, kind of chilling out the first 2 months, and also my best sourcing VA left.
Oh
Not
Oh,
no.
Roy, uh, but yeah, she left at the start of the year, which was annoying because I she'd been on the team for like 2 years, and then the first day back off holiday, she just messaged me that she's leaving. Like,
oh,
didn't even give
so
me any notice.
she took a 13th month pay and then said thank you very much.
And dipped. Yeah, yeah. And like I thought, if she had any courtesy, she'd let me know at the start of the holiday period. Because they get like 10 or 12 days or whatever
Hmm.
Yeah.
between like Christmas and New Year's. I thought like, oh, any decent person would let me know at the start of the holiday, so at least, can find a replacement. But no, the first day she meant to be back, she sent me a message like, I'm not working.
Oh no.
Oh,
Laters.
oh,
So yeah,
Are
at
you
the
on the hunt
moment,
for a
just
replacement?
just been busy with other things. No, I haven't got a replacement for it yet. I thought, to be honest, the worst time to hire a VA is kind of like right now.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought, I'll just wait a little bit, take it easy the first 2 months, and then, get back in the business from kind of springtime.
Yeah. Nice. You've been doing the TikTok shop as well, haven't you, Gage?
I have, yeah. So a lot of my time's been going to that at the moment because, as we all know, it can be a little bit slow in Jan and Feb. And honestly, for Jan and Feb, a lot of your work is done in December and November.
hmm.
Um, yeah, so it's like I can kind of take it a bit on autopilot, focus on some other things, and then probably in like 3, 4 weeks get full back onto Amazon, get my sales back up.
So when can we expect the ATA TikTok shop guide to drop?
Trust me, I'm still figuring it out every day.
Well,
Then
we're still figuring out Amazon as well, 4 years down the line. So
yeah, yeah. It's yeah, it's a long process, but and honestly, there's loads of things to think about, like affiliates and other stuff that you don't have to think about with
hmm.
Amazon. Honestly, Amazon's so nice because it's like pretty straightforward, You
Mm,
find what you like using your SAS and whatever, and you know all the information about it already before you go. There's nothing like that for TikTok. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
you want to sell a product, you have no idea how many it's going to sell or anything. Um, so yeah, I do definitely prefer Amazon from that point of view, but TikTok's nice in the sense, new market, not a
Hmm.
lot of competition, but
nice.
Yeah,
also means, the tools and stuff just isn't out there.
yeah. But Aiden's just popped in the chat. Gage, you're so spot on. Is that with regard to TikTok shop? Have you dabbled in that, Aiden?
I know he was.
Yeah, so I did a bit of TikTok shop. And like Gage said, like you just don't know. Like obviously, if you're looking at affiliate side of things, it will tell you how much a product has sold in its product lifetime. but it won't have like charts of what price it sold at. So it could have sold, but at a deal that had like no money being made on it. But the shop side of things, I mean, there's so much to it, like running ads and stuff to get traction to it that I sort of just have mine there, not doing much, but it is quite different. And Gage like is pretty spot on with yeah. There's like no back data to it, so
Mm.
some of it's a guess, some of it's not a guess, but yeah, it's not this. It's definitely a different ball game.
So Aiden, you're saying it needs a genius like Gage come along and make a seller amp for TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure he's
He,
already working on it in the background.
he's already done it for himself, probably.
Trust me, I actually have looked into something very similar already, and it was actually like such a mammoth task. I decided to leave it. But yeah, someone
Mm.
came to me with something for TikTok, some
Yeah,
affiliate thing, but
do pretty
maybe
well.
next time.
They get that launched.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
just wait. Sell around TikTok coming soon.
Sounds
What
good.
about
Cool.
Ben? Sorry, how's your Q1 been so far?
Yeah, similar to Gage really. Like I've taken the last couple of years and but knowing that January, February is always quite slow and kind of instead of trying to like buying marginal deals and trying to force sales that aren't really there, I've just kind of taken my foot off the gas a little bit and waiting for everyone to fight it out on kind of saturated listings. So for the first couple of months, who then tend to drop off further down the line. So yeah, I've tried not to kind of force it, and I've only been buying kind of the real banger deals and not just kind of like trying to hit a target spend for the sake of it, because I think it's quite easy to fall into that trap, especially after you've spent loads of stock, so it's loads of money on stock during like Black Friday and for December. Like you can feel like it's almost like an itch you've got to scratch. It's like, oh, I've got to keep this spend up for January, but I've done that in the past and been burned, so I've been kind of relaxing a little bit. And yeah, while my sales have been lower, my ROI has actually been pretty good, but based on that. So yeah, I think that might be a good kind of tactic for future Q1s.
Yeah, if you spend enough during Black Friday, where you kind of can without putting yourself on rice cakes for a month, it does set you up for the Q1 perfectly because no one can buy those deals at the price you paid for them. So.
Yeah, definitely. So let's jump into our questions. So yeah, the first one is from our very own Aidan, who's obviously here on the call as well. So he's asked, in terms of VA recommendations, would you outsource prep or get a sourcing VA first? What do you think about that, Gage?
What was the first half of the question?
So do you get a prep center or a sourcing VA first?
That's an interesting question, and surprisingly, I don't think anyone has ever asked me that before. Um, okay, I think you probably want to get a sourcing VA first. Um, I don't know. It feels really person dependent, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'd
Because
agree.
if you're a really good sourcer, it's actually going to be negative for you to spend loads of time packing orders because you can spend that time sourcing and actually making money. Uh, and then if you get a sourcing VA, and you're a really good sourcer, you're probably going to end up you're going to spend less time sourcing anyway, kind of teaching her how to source, and then you're going to get leads from her, but they're not going to be as good as your own initially. So then getting the prep center, you'll be able to source more quality leads, and kind of scale that way. I think if
Hmm.
you're less of a good sourcer, then getting a sourcing VA is probably the best one to go for because your time isn't as valuable sourcing. You can just focus on getting the most out of your VA and packing orders. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's you've pretty much nailed it there. So it's very much it's person dependent based on what you prefer doing and what you're good at, and but it's also capital dependent. It's important to add. So like unless you've got kind of a minimum of 5K, it's probably too soon to get a VA because like paying the VA 350, 400 quid a month is just going to eat so much into your profits. If you're playing with less capital than that, it's probably not worth it. Whereas you can kind of the prep center is it's a lower expense when you're first starting out if you're not shipping that many units in, and it kind of the right time to get a prep center is variable because it basically depends on A, how much time you have, and B, how much you hate doing prep yourself. So that's obviously person dependent as well. And yeah, I mean, so some people, I mean, yeah, so some people genuinely really enjoy the whole process of doing the prep and obviously and they go ahead and get a sourcing VA, but continue to do the prep themselves. But yeah, if you're working a busy 9 to 5, but and you've maybe only got an hour to spend on your Amazon store per day, you're probably not going to want to spend that packing boxes. And if you are, then you're definitely going to need some way of getting leads because otherwise you're just yeah you're not going to have a business because one way or another you need product leads and you need yourself or someone to pack them. So yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act, really.
That was a very good question, Aiden.
Yeah, and did slightly expect that answer. I just wanted to have your professional opinions. Well, I'm not sure about professional opinions, but you got our opinions anyway. And Jacob has asked, and it looks like Jacob's on the call as well. Hi, Jacob. Anything apart from an automatic mailing system to increase review counts? So yeah, review counts are a really difficult one because there's just not the same culture on Amazon that is on eBay where you're sort of expected to give and receive feedback. And I think part of that is down to most people who buy from FBA sellers assume they're just buying from Amazon anyway. So yeah, I think I've averaged like one review per about 200 orders, I think it is, or something. So it's crazy, crazy rare that you actually get a seller review. But yeah, there is. I've never used it before, but I think it's a Sage Mailer, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people have used that before to have some success. So back when I first started, I was doing FBM, and I used to actually put a little handwritten note inside my FBM packages saying, "Oh, thanks for your order. I'd really appreciate it as a small business if you take the time to leave me seller feedback." Obviously, you can't do that with FBA orders, but if you are doing FBM, that could be something to consider. But yeah, apart from yeah, I would say I don't well, I don't know of any other tools other than Sage Mailer that offer that, but I would say a tool like that if you want to kind of artificially increase the review account instead of one every couple of hundred orders, you might get a lucky one. Yeah, that's
yeah.
probably the way to go.
I don't really know how much of a difference it really makes. Obviously, when the buy box is suppressed, it's going to make a huge difference. If you're doing it against someone who's got 500 reviews and you've got none, they're obviously going to go for someone with
Hmm.
500. But I've seen listings in December that's just been where people with a couple of reviews are winning the buy box constantly over people with thousands of reviews. I
Hmm.
definitely think the algorithm has changed a bit.
Yeah, I think the only scenario where it's really really kind of a negative to not have many reviews is when there's a suppressed buy box because obviously when there is a buy box it just shows you dispatches from Amazon sold by whoever, Prime delivery. It doesn't actually tell you how many reviews that seller has, so the buyer's just going to buy it anyway. Whereas if there's a suppressed buy box, the buyer has to click in to see more buying options, and then they can see the reviews. So they'll be able to say like, oh, there's this new seller or person with one review, or this seller at the same price with 500 reviews. Most buyers are going to go for the one with 500 reviews. But so yeah, for that reason, if you're just starting out or you've got kind of fewer than 10 or so reviews, probably best avoiding listings where the buy box is suppressed mostly. Oh, cool. So Aiden's just said there's a free one, high five reviews. It's got it's got him 11 in 9 months or so. Yeah, that's a good shout. So yeah, it might be worth considering that. So yeah, thanks for that suggestion, Aiden. Um, anything to add on that, Gage?
No, essentially outside of using software to request reviews, there is nothing you can
Hmm,
do.
cool.
I don't think
And
it makes a huge difference anyway,
No, I
really.
don't think it's incredibly important.
And yeah, Pasha's just said I only have one review, but I have a cent, which pretty much gives me the buy box a lot of the time anyway. So yeah, glad to hear you. I'm sure Gage will be glad to hear you're enjoying a cent.
Yeah, Pasha, just don't forget to message me after for your for the £5. There
Oh,
we go.
And Jules has actually asked how much commission is Gage going to give me on TikTok?
yeah.
Uh, 10%.
Cool. And a follow-up question from Jacob actually. He's asked if we can show some examples of A2A deals. Yeah, that's probably one for our resident A2A expert, Mr.
Yeah.
Farwell.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I should probably allow you to share screen. That'd be
Cheers,
good.
mate.
So,
I've got an interesting one as well, actually. I
You
sounds
don't
want
know
to
good.
do
if you
that?
need do you need some time, Harry? Because I can do my interesting one.
Yeah, do you want to, what do you want me to do it or do you want to do it and then comment
I'll
on?
start. I'll
Yeah.
start, and then I'll hand it over to you if you don't
Okay,
mind.
sweet. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I know people in here have been talking about doing the EU A2As,
Yeah.
but I haven't been doing them. So this was my first attempt at an EU A2A, and you guys can all tell me what you think. We're all learning together.
I've been doing
So,
quite a bit of it this year, so
oh, cool.
hopefully I should be able to help a bit.
Cool, cool, cool. So, we found this with Profit Path. Shout out Profit Path. And this is the German listing where we managed to buy it at 1340 euros.
Yeah.
And on the UK market, when did I buy this? 17th of Feb. So I've just got it here. So the price at the time, £29 was the buy box, but it does fluctuate quite a lot. Oh, around 29 pounds seems to be where the buy box is, 29. So if I punch that in, one thing I didn't realize is you have to pay for shipping if you're shipping it to the UK. So I initially didn't factor that in when I found the deal, but it was still profitable without it. But as you can see, it's not crazy numbers or anything. But I wanted to
Mm,
get my first one under the belt. So we see it's got low sales rank. It's been quite low in the past, but I was kind of hoping where there was like no sellers there was like a shortage of this product and people weren't going to come on it. It
mm,
looks like that's the case. People aren't joining the listing. The price is currently 27.68 and so decent first attempt, I guess. It's nothing absolutely insane, but yeah, looks pretty cool. What do you think, Hazza?
Yeah, I so with this, so a few tips. Have you got capital on tap, Gage?
No,
So this is where capital on tap's worth getting.
they
So
decline me every
for the
time.
people on the call, I've only been this is kind of aside from the analysis part. Capital on tap, if you do when you go through to checkout from alternative marketplaces, pay in euros and the conversion works out cheaper than Amex.
Oh, cool.
Might not sound ridiculous, but when you're buying something of a cog that's over, 50 to 80 quid, that could be a 5 to 10% swing, which is maybe not a lot for something that's 12 quid that you've got here, Gage. But if you're paying 120 quid and someone else got it for 108, that's quite a big swing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good one because of the analysis you said. I think this one that I would look at buying with I had a lot of capital to spend and I needed to get my spend up.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I was more cash restricted, this is one I'd avoid because of the lower. I treat a lot of A2A EU kind of very differently to A2As because I personally think that it's more like OA. Because people have to kind of go and reverse search and trying to find out where you bought it from. So when there's a long-term history at a lower price, that would kind of put me off a bit.
mm.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Well, yeah, but
No,
Pasha's, sorry to buy in. Pasha's just said with Amazon Times and EU, if you buy the max quantity, you can get it cheaper than the advertised cost too. I don't know if you tried that Gauge, or is that already
yeah,
factored in?
it made the delivery cheaper. I
Okay.
Yeah,
specifically remember that. Like it's like you see here, the delivery's 452. It was not 452 times four.
Hmm.
It was a bundled delivery fee.
And when you
Okay.
go
Uh,
over like 180 euros, they whack on an import fees, I think. So
okay.
um, you kind of have to play around with it to kind of see, because you can repeat order and stay under the import duty. So if you can do that, and like in this case, you've got stock of 30 plus. So if you wanted to buy 20 and, to stay under the 180 euros, you're buying, six, you just go 666 or, and just do a few repeat checkouts. So it does take a bit of fiddling around with.
Is the import duty not already factored in? Because there's going to be some A2As that are above 135 quid anyway.
Yeah, so sometimes it is. So if you're say like you're buying something for 150 to 200 quid, and it's going to have import duty regardless because of the cost of goods is just that expensive. If you're buying a few, you just kind of work that into your cost of goods. So what I personally do is do the euro total, put that into like Google euro to GBP, divide that and work out what my rough cog is. Then once I've paid for it, I check my credit card, take the actual value it's going to charge me, and then divide it by the amount. And if it's way more than I thought it was going to be and it's not profitable, then I just cancel the order.
So yeah, EFA's just asked, is Amazon to Amazon EU safe to order then? How come you can't order from Amazon EU, but A2A EU is fine?
I think it's weird because I think like the A to like the ordering from Amazon EU or Amazon UK, I feel like it's someone somewhere has just said it's like it's not accepted, and I think everyone's just kind of taken it as gospel.
I was just about to say it's like an old wives' tale, isn't it? And I'm like, I'm sure like I've said it as well. That's the
Yeah,
worst thing.
I don't. So I don't. I'm not actually 100% sure, but I would not want to be the person responsible for giving that advice out and then t finding out that it was the case. So I know that for a fact because I've used invoices from Amazon, Germany, Italy, Spain, etc., and I've had no problems appealing IP claims and anything like that so far.
Yeah, and
So
there was also the rumor that you can't buy on a Prime account because there was an ambiguous clause in the Amazon T's and C's, but I think that it was said something like you can't use Prime delivery to ship to a third party or something like that. But I think what they mean by that is that basically they're trying to discourage drop shipping. So what they don't want is like you make a sale on your Shopify store, you then just buy from Amazon and then ship it to the end customer from there. So I think it's the rules in there are to discourage that, but the wording is very strange. And obviously, yeah, Harry, if you've actually sent in invoices from Amazon Italy, Amazon France, wherever,
yeah.
then it must be all good.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. I mean, it's still in the retail terms and condition. Only time I've ever seen anyone have problems with Amazon Prime, which don't even show up on the invoice anyway, is their buying accounts getting shut down for excessive ordering to different addresses or whatever.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. I quite like the look of this listing of first class. Can you just go back to the UK one? So obviously Amazon UK are on the listing, but they're pretty much always priced higher than the buy box price. So you can almost ignore the fact they're even on it. And I mean, if it does drop down to what 17 quid or whatever it was, I assume that's going to be below your break even, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
15.81.
1581.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one to kind of dip your toes into,
Yeah.
and I really don't think that you're going to see this because when there's a really good UK Amazon A2A, obviously we've probably all seen the offer count shoot up. I don't think that's going to be the case here because a lot of people don't do the EU one. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. I mean, it's a very low risk way of dipping your toes into it and seeing how it all works. What's the delivery time like?
It can vary. Uh,
This one, what, 7 days?
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, I'd say 7 days is quite common. So cash flow for cash flow reasons, it's probably a bit slower, but nothing. I think you can get Prime accounts for it, but I mean, it's still pretty relatively quick. It's probably no different from an O8 order.
Yeah. Yeah, but Pasha said he's ordered 1,200 euros worth of Amazon to Amazon EU in one order and paid Amazon's exchange rate plus imports and been profitable with 40% ROI. So lots of great deals there. So yeah, a bit of free game there. Lovely.
Yeah, I've got an A2A EU one that I can actually share with you guys. I mean, it kind of varies. I mean, some that ping in groups and then groups then tag all their members and go buy this because it's 50% ROI. You're still gonna get it's gonna be similar to A2A UK when it's being pinged in groups, but largely, like Ben said, I think a lot of it, in my in my opinion so far, and I've been doing it 2 or 3 months, a lot of it comes from people storefronting people and then finding the reverse source of where these people have bought it from, rather than it being pinged in groups as well.
Hmm.
Got another one here.
This is Aiden saying this is an A2A EU that's tanked to the ground now. Says
Okay.
he would have got this for 543 euros. Oh wow. This was I wonder if because to my knowledge, like not that many people are doing A2A EUs, are they? Or are
It's
loads of
in
people
quite a
doing them?
few groups now. They offer it
Okay.
as a, I'm still trying to work out because in my opinion the best way to source any sort of deal is manually. And from what I can tell is you have to download loads of keep or export files and then trying to cross-reference that to UK files and you'll end up with about 10 spreadsheets and that is just not something that anyone wants to do, not even a VA, I don't think.
Yeah, because this is surprising, isn't it? It's like this many people. I do wonder if this was bought from like a normal retailer as well for
Yeah,
some of these
that's
people.
possible.
You know, I wouldn't know, but yeah, it's a bit yeah, it's crazy that that many people jumped on. Obviously, people didn't like my trolls listing. No one joined that. So,
So did it just go back to the EU listing of that? So the other one, the where
the
we're buying from, the L'Oreal.
oh the L'Oreal. Okay.
Um, well, I guess it's such a good sales rank anyway, you're not really going to notice. But I was going to say, if like 50 UK sellers did suddenly buy it, you'd have thought you'd see the sales rank dip a little bit. But it does look
Yeah.
like it stayed pretty consistent. But it is in the top like thousand, so they're absolutely flying out anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
And where you can take the principles from A to A just from like domestically as well is this price is constant. So if you know VAs are storefronting, you'll know OA leads or any leads, and it's something that's readily available quite a lot of the time of the year, you're going to find that it's going to tank quite often. If it's something that's like price or time sensitive, where they're matching a retailer and it's not on sale for very long, you're never going to see a seller count increase like you probably have seen on this listing because
Mm,
someone's probably seen someone sell, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of units at brilliant return on investment and profit and gone, right, well, I'll buy that. And then it's ended up on 20 VA deal sheets and then
mm.
they've all done the same thing.
All right,
Yeah.
Harry. Do you want to do your A2As?
Yeah, go on then.
Well, over to you.
I ooh, I've got quite a lot of things up here. There's that chat bubble always goes up to the top. Right, okay, cool. So this is an example of an A2A EU one that I actually bought. Let me get this out of the way. There we go. I actually bought the other day, and you can see it's pinged down here at 85.99. So this is what I mean about even, doing A2A EU. There's quite a long history here and a drop down, but it's got a great history in the UK. So I don't think we'll see a similar trend that from Aiden's one where loads of people come on because there's not the ability to storefront this. I got I found well I got shared the deal and then set up a keeper tracker and then bought it when it pinged again at 85.99. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, you get put that on a deal sheet from an OA retailer in the UK and you'd see I think 70 sellers on the listing by the end of the week, wouldn't you?
Hmm. Yeah,
Check the
that's really good. Yeah, really nice consistent price in the UK.
Yeah, and there's lots of history of it selling. So I mean, that's just an example of what to look out for. But we'll go through who was it Jacob that wanted to go through some A to A stuff?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. I mean, this is one I actually shared with the group the other day. I mean, this seller count rise probably isn't too unsurprising. But in my opinion, it's still a good deal. It really, really depends on your own sort of circumstances if you're willing to wait for the price to kind of revert. When something's got a BSR of, let's see, the last, where is it? Uh, 30, 90 days. So we would say, well, like 7K average. Where is my Ascent? Here we go. Ascent sales estimator. We've got
Yeah, this Q&A is sponsored by Ascent, if you hadn't realized.
Is if anyone plays badminton as well, I just released a new iPhone app last night for badminton.
What does that
It's called Sweet Spot, and you want to Google put on the App Store Sweet Spot Badminton to download the app today. Thank you.
called? Well, I mean, I don't know if that's to do with badminton or something else, Gage, but I'll let the members watching
I
this.
don't know where your brain is, mate.
Um, Pasha, I've just put it in the Zoom chat there for you to be able to access the sales estimator.
You can
But
also Google Ascent Repricer Sales Estimator, and it will come up.
yeah. Let me just see. It's gonna beat me to it. Okay. Okay. Uh, I think if you click that link, it should just take you straight through.
Yeah, it's also under resources. You
Okay.
see on Harry's screen there.
Okay,
There you are.
nice. Sensors. Perfect. So yeah, you can see here there's quite it's selling about 150 times a month, or it's saying on SaaS 300 times a month, but that's probably taking into consideration the fact that lots and lots of people have bought it down here. I'd say it's probably close to 250 times a month. You can use the data tab to have an even more detailed look. But the reason I think it was E4 who's actually on the Zoom call now was saying I actually pinged this and I said to everyone, be sure to have a look and look at the yearly data because there is actually quite a lot of history of it being at 50 to 60 quid here, which is a bit of a red flag, um, giving the indication it could go back to that. But when I don't know if it's still the case now, but when I actually searched on Google, it was matching an eBay seller. Yeah, you can actually see. I think someone put that in the Discord channel. It was matching, so it still is matching this eBay seller. I don't Gage. Do you ever buy from eBay sellers? Because I know this is quite a big business, and if they issue you a VAT invoice that has nothing to do with saying buying off eBay, then I don't see why that would be a problem when it comes to appealing IPs or Section 3s or whatever.
Yeah, so I bought off eBay loads, and just the checklist I do is obviously very positive reviews,
Yeah,
big store, and they have to have a VAT number.
yeah,
And in the description, just making sure that the actual brand is listed. Because a lot of these places, like what they'll do is they'll say Microsoft Surface Pen, but it won't actually be by Microsoft.
yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, cool.
other
Because
than other than that, like I've got invoices off these guys, and they don't mention that it's from eBay. It just says the company name on it, so Amazon couldn't know
yeah, which is perfect, which is what you want because
exactly.
especially in this case where even myself included, I paid 49.95 for this. You use the coupon code on eBay, you're getting it for 39.96.
That is a
So,
Hmm.
deal.
which doesn't sound big, but when everyone's paying 49.95, getting 40% return of investment, and you're paying 39.96, you're getting 71% return of investment.
Hmm.
And this is actually a pretty big business. They've got their own website and stuff like that. But I've just never bought from eBay because I've never stumbled across it. So always a good way to better your ROI and profit.
Yeah, and if you find other retailers like Curry's, obviously you've got things like Top Cashback to consider as well, which you don't get on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. And the good thing is Amazon are only matching this one eBay seller, which are quite a big online. They have a big online presence. Even Microsoft themselves. A new one that I've been trialing out recently, because when I went wrong with the Meta Quest, is checking other European marketplaces, and you can actually see all of their prices are above 120
Hmm.
euros as well. So to me, this is just like a flash deal. So it should likely go back to £95, but there's still reason to be concerned with this
I,
kind of hit.
I finally let the MetaQuest go at Christmas last
Yeah,
year.
I was painful loss. Yeah, they weren't my finest buy.
Well, EFA got this for £0 cost of goods apparently, so
I'm
Interesting
not
to
going to
hear.
ask how he's managed that. Okay, I think that was a good one. I mean, like the thing is, I think your likely case is here. We're waiting for this person to up their price, and go back to kind of retail price. Then we're going to be able to start selling it. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've just seen that come through now. I've got this thing at the top. Um, but even then, you're going to have a lot of sellers to come back through. But with the sales per month, it's going to be between probably 150 and 300, while people sell out for 5 to 10% return on investment. But if you're happy to wait a few months, you should be selling this for, uh, well, if you paid 14.95, 48%, even at 79.99, you're going towards 20% return on
Yeah, and
investment.
the thing is, if you do want to turn your money over quicker, what would the break-even sale price be if you were buying from Amazon at 49.95?
Uh, let's see, is it on here? Yeah,
Yeah,
65.52.
65. So stick 55.52 into the sale price.
Yep.
And then, so if it does tank down to break even, this is what most people are going to be looking at. But if you bought it off eBay for 39.95, if you sit down the cost bit, you're still making £8 profit and 20% ROI. So it's such a huge advantage. It's not just so yeah. Obviously, you initially think of best case scenarios like oh, you make more profit when it's selling higher, but actually, when if other sellers are just getting rid for break even, you're still making 20% ROI, and that's huge.
And it means you can also buy more. Like I would personally, obviously this is case by case example, and it depends like what your limiting factors are in your business. I would rather buy a lot more knowing that the sales per month at this price point is going to be a couple hundred, 400, 500, whatever it is a month, than buy much less percentage wise fee, 150 sales per
Mm.
month, and make less cash profit. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're in the business for, is to make profit.
Yeah,
Cool.
nice one. Yeah, Pasha's just popped another one in the Zoom chat. I don't know if you want to look at that.
Yeah, I'll do that one because my other ones that I've got aren't particularly great.
Okay.
So this A2A EU, 140 quid. Okay, looks like I've actually bought it before. I bought this recently. Is it A2A EU or is it A2A UK?
Oh, look, sorry, it's just A2A UK, I think. Yeah, yeah, it is.
Oh, okay, cool. So I've actually bought some of these myself recently. I think Amazon have actually just reverted in price as well, which is even better because
Nice.
well, unfortunately, not for the people watching because the analysis you might have wanted to buy some, but it's good to set up a tracker for it because it did revert and come back down again. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's been a few people that have come on the listing, but the long-term history is really, really good. Worst case here, you're kind of looking at about £210. I know it's saying 204 there. But I paid 143.51. So let's just go with the 100 because it did actually drop down even further, 140.87. Actually, I think I did that on the second time round I bought them. Um, so yeah, right there, based on its long-term history, you're not going to have a problem um, ever selling it for a profit at that price. Your only really red flag, obviously, you could do your checks for like variations and stuff like that. But if I have a quick click on here. I always like to check the data tab. If it's just evidence that it's selling, then it's good enough for me. Um, I mean, oh, that person looked like they sold four in like a day there. So,
Yeah, J fulfillment. That's the last thing I asked, isn't
but
It is
yeah,
indeed.
even here you can see that they're selling. This person sold six in a couple of days as well. So I can tell that it's selling. If you, I won't go through and bore because most of the people watching this have seen the whole variation split
it?
before. Um, so the main thing for me is just kind of let's just say we haven't seen this revert in price. Is it gonna, is especially with these cameras and things and GoPros, newer models quite often come out, and is it going to be an issue like the Meta Quest where we're going to be stuck at that price for a long period of time? Or is this just a sale where it's matching, similar to the last deal with the Microsoft one,
Mm.
just one retailer at a cut price? So we can have a look at actually the other marketplaces again, and they're all priced 200 quid above. And GoPro, a massive brand, so they might do a global sale and just literally put it into Google. Um, I wouldn't be looking at. I've never heard of Ape Direct, so I'm not going to take them as a potential competitor. But let's have a look on here. Actually, it's probably the best way to see. Argos are at 250 quid. Tech Zone, Selfridges 300 quid. So mostly retailers looks like here they're above the £200 mark, and even at just £200 at VAT registered, you're making 22% return on investment, and overall, even better, 15% plus margin, £30 profit. So to me, there's not much of a red flag A2A perspective here. It's more of a bank. The only thing is, GoPro issue cease and desist letters, don't they? But apparently I've heard that if you just send them the invoice where you got it from, they don't bother chasing up.
I've also just ignored them, by the
Yeah,
way.
I've also I've also ignored them, but I didn't want to say
That
that.
seems to work. This one looks like a great deal, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
Um,
don't think there's too much wrong with it.
yeah, I think I'd buy this. The Google checks out. Everywhere's selling this for more. My strategy for these type of listings, though, that are like expensive that you might not, you're not 100% sure, is I just get them sent to my house and I just FBM them.
Yeah, that's also a really good method. Yeah,
And
definitely.
then I set a reminder for 20 days. If I haven't sold it after 20 days, I just return it.
Hmm.
No shame. Just return it straight back to Amazon. No
So
problem.
along those lines, EFA has said, should you ignore FBM stock history? I think this is from where you were looking at the data tab in the offers.
Yeah, I personally do because we can actually have a look and see if there's any FBM here. This like well Amazon EU is not a great example, but let's just say here Camera Center, right? Camera Center have their own retail site, so they'll have like a stock checker within their warehouse or whatever, and it will update whether that sales come from eBay, Amazon, or their own website. That's not going to be reflective of the sales velocity on Amazon. So I wouldn't say it's an accurate measurement.
Mhm. Cool. And yeah, I think Jacob's gonna give us some OA leads. So he's asked, can I give
Okay,
you a few
cool.
ASINs and you let me know if you would buy or not? Absolutely. That's what we're here for. We love doing stuff like that. And Pasha's asked, which courier are you using for dangerous goods? It's Parcel Force we use at the ATP, isn't it, Gage? I think.
Yeah, we use Parcel Force. They're pretty reliable.
Yeah,
Cool.
password's pretty good.
Cool. So yeah, Jacob, feel free to post your ASINs and the buy prices for the ones you want to look at. In the meantime, I've got quite an interesting one that I wanted to have a look at.
Yeah,
I think we can all agree.
do you want to take control or
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, if you stop sharing, I'll jump in. So this is just an item that one of my VAs found today that I thought was quite interesting. Um, Quite a few of you probably are already aware of what I'm gonna say, but I thought I would share it anyway. So let me know if you can see my screen and this Tony's
yeah,
audio. Cool. So
Yes.
so as you can see, initial data looks all right. Low sales per month, profit and ROI is okay. Obviously, I'm VAT registered, so it'll be slightly higher for if you're not VAT registered. If we look at the keeper graph, so SAS is saying 9 sales per month, which looks about right looking at the keeper drops. However, I'm immediately drawn to the fact that there's not very many orange triangles on the keeper graph. So I highly recommend you add in the new third-party FBA part to your keeper graph if you haven't already, because if you don't have it on, you would just see, oh, okay, stable price, about 9 sales per month, whatever. But if you have the new third-party FBA bit checked, you can see that for long periods in the last 3 months, there's been no FBA sellers. And that means that by process of elimination, it must have been FBM on the buy box. And you can confirm that by if you hover over buy box here, you can see the strip of color that appears at the top of the keeper graph. So orange indicates that it's FBA on the buy box, and blue indicates that FBM are on the buy box. So whenever I see a listing like this and I see it dominated by blue, which means that it's been predominantly FBM on the buy box, you often see this for a lot of like premium perfume items, which are dangerous goods, because a lot of people FBM dangerous goods instead of paying extra to send them into Amazon. So I get excited when I see FBM on the buy box. Firstly, because I don't really have a life, but mainly it's because if I know it's selling when FBM are on the buy box, when often it's slower delivery, I know it's going to sell even quicker if it's FBA on the buy box. So if it's selling on average 9 a month over the last 3 months, and FBM have been on the buy box, what, 75% of the time, like here, I know if it was FBA on the buy box this entire 3 months, it'd probably be selling more like, I don't know, 20 to 30 a month. So I know it would sell more with FBA on the buy box. And I also know that it would probably sell for more as well, because I know that here, if FBM are on the buy box at 24.19, which is going to be profitable anyway, I know that as an FBA seller, I'm going to be able to price 5 to 10% higher and take the buy box from them. So if it's selling 9 a month at 24.19 FBM on the buy box, I know it's probably going to sell 20 to 30 a month at 25, 26 quid with FBA on the buy box. And the reason for that is that if you look at the other sellers and look at some of these FBM sellers. So it's delivery 3rd, 4th of March, 4th, 5th of March. So people are still buying this, even though they have to wait a week for it. So a lot more people are going to buy if they can get it tomorrow. Because let's be honest, that's why most people are shopping on Amazon. And if they see the buy box when it was FBM saying delivery this time next week, most people are going to go and just buy some other product that has the prime delivery. So look out for scenarios like this where FBM have been on the buy box, because if you know that FBM have been on the buy box for a long period, you know it would sell quicker and for slightly more if FBA had been on the buy box. So that's a green flag to buy slightly more than you normally would.
Yeah, I love this. And always when I do like a coaching call, when they bring up the keeper graph, like it's two things that they're always missing, and it's the FBA triangles that you just brought up. People just don't think they're important, but they're
Mm.
so, so important.
Yeah.
And also, I like the close-up view being on. Um, it doesn't really apply much for this listing, but what it does is it makes it so the price doesn't start at zero on the left side of the
Mm.
graph, the y-axis. So it makes like it makes the changes look much more significant in price. Just makes it a lot easier to be able to tell, right? You know, because a price moving by £2 doesn't look like a lot when the close-up view's off, but
Yeah.
when it's on, it looks like a lot. And obviously, £2, when our margin is 357 on this, is a
Hmm.
lot.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Jacob Mann has sent us 4 ASINs he'd like us
Right.
to look at
Let's have a look.
with the buy prices, so I'm very
Oh,
impressed.
what a man. Right, let's start on these then.
There's a guy who goes to poker, this Chinese guy. His name's Tony Man, and he WhatsApps me in Mandarin, despite me not knowing any Chinese. He just thinks I speak Chinese.
That's pretty racist.
Yes. And he messages me every day, like what he's eating and stuff. It's like really strange.
So do you like translate his messages, or do you
Yeah,
just
yeah, and I'll just go like, and then I'll just reply in English. Wow, very nice. Like I actually don't need to translate them anymore. Like, mo almost all the messages just require a wow, very nice.
Hmm. Cool. So here's his first one. So Jacob, are you non-VAT registered or VAT registered? I've just turned VAT off, assuming that you're not non-VAT
Not.
registered. Cool. Perfect. So and so I've got prep fees. Have I got prep fees built in? Yes, I have got prep fees built in. So the profit might be slightly less than what you're seeing. But anyway, here we can see. So the ROI is okay. The profit is yeah, no worries. Cool. So yeah, the prop rate and ROI is pretty close to the minimum of what you would take, but let's have a look at it. So immediately I noticed that Amazon EU are on the buy box, and offer sometimes there's listings where Amazon EU will just tank a listing, and then once they disappear, it returns back to being profitable. And you can see they've only got one left in stock, so this could be an example of that. Yeah, SAS is saying 50 plus a month. We can see here that, yeah, it looks like Amazon EU have been dominating the buy box pretty much for the entire of the last 3 months. And again, this is an example where if you've got your orange triangles on, you can see that they've been on the buy box, because Amazon EU you can pretty much treat as an FBM seller, because even though it's Amazon, it's being imported from the EU. So as we saw with the Amazon EU examples for the A2As, it's going to take at least a week to turn up, and this one's actually a month. So yeah, these sellers could drop their price a bit, take the buy box, and it would probably sell even quicker. Um, and again, if you hover over the buy box, so the last item was like 75% FBM. This is more like 95%. So it all looks pretty good so far. I am slightly concerned by the rise up in offer count, but the sales rank is still pretty good. So I'm going to take an average buy eye of about 25,000 of the last kind of month or so. Let's get the official. Oh, let's call it 30,000. Let's have a look. Um, so what does it mean when the buy box is dominated by FBM? So it basically means that there's an FBM seller on it or Amazon EU who we're treating as FBM for the purposes of this. It just means that when a buyer opens up this listing, most buyers don't even realize that you can buy from other sellers. They'll just see the buy box and they'll say, "Oh, I'm not going to get this for a month, so I'm going to go off and buy some other product." So it basically means as an FBA seller, your eyes should light up because it means that you could take the buy box from this FBM seller. And as you're an FBA seller, it would mean that you get next day delivery and you could price slightly higher and get the buy box anyway. So obviously, Amazon has determined 23.98 to be too expensive to get the buy box, but I suspect if these sellers had dropped their price to about 21, yeah, about 21, £22, they would have got it. And you can see that that's happened here actually. So they're still let's just have a look. So there's still an FBM seller here at 1943, but yeah, around 1946-ish. But yeah, and here's probably a good example of where the buy box is rapidly fluctuating between FBM and FBA. So it's going between 1927 Amazon EU and then up to that's actually Amazon EU upping their price. But you see this fluctuation a lot where Amazon is very close to it can't decide whether to give the buy box to the FBM or the FBA seller, so it just fluctuates very quickly between them. But ultimately, when FBM are on the buy box, it should be a green flag as an FBA seller because you can sell it more quickly and at a slightly higher price if you're an FBA seller. Um, so let's take the 30-day average of 30,000 and just see what Ascent's going to spit out at us. I assume this is in toys.
This is a
So
good demo on the close-up chart, by the way, for
yeah,
anyone who
cool.
can
So
tolerate
yeah,
it.
the reckons 60 a month. Let's go for the close-up view. Oh yeah, now we can see
And
these.
the bottom one, if you turn off review count first and then turn on close-up view, and it's like even more
Yeah,
scary.
yeah,
This
the
the
dramatic,
overcount.
yes, even more of a rise in off accounts. So yeah, so you can see here clearly that yeah, there's more of a gap between the FBM and the FBA seller when it's displayed like this. So the offer count has risen. It's selling about 60 a month. There's quite a few sellers on it. But yeah, Amazon EU have only got one in stock. But because it's been dominated by FBM or Amazon EU for the vast majority of the last 3 months, I suspect it will sell quicker once Amazon EU finally go off the listing. Because if we look at the data tab and go to offers, we're going to see if we find Amazon EU. So they've been in stock. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they've been in stock for the whole year by the look of things. So they're effectively going to be putting kind of a speed hump on the sales because if they're offering a month delivery, then sales are going to be a lot slower. So I suspect when they go off the listing, the sales per month will dramatically improve because there's enough FBA sellers here um, to to really increase the sales. So if Amazon EU weren't on the listing and this had been FBA on the buy box the whole time, I probably wouldn't buy it because it's so close to our minimums that it's probably not worth going with. But it'll be interesting to look back on this in a week or two, actually. I suspect once Amazon EU finally go off this listing, I reckon the sales rank will get better and these will start flying out. So even though the offer count is rising, I would actually still go for this and I would look to sell it at kind of £25 plus because no one's got that much stock by the look of things. And I suspect sales will increase dramatically once Amazon EU disappear off the listing. So yeah, this is quite an interesting listing actually. What do you guys think?
I like it. I like it. Um, I like this because this is a listing a lot of people wouldn't go for
Hmm.
because of the steep rise in offers. But exactly like you, Ben, when I pulled this up on my other screen, I straight away went to the offer count, the stock count of the offers, and I noticed, just like you did, everything's one, two, or three.
Mhm.
So with 60 sales, although there's all these sellers, like it's actually not much stock at all. So yeah, I'd go for this.
This is
Yeah.
probably one I'd personally avoid myself. Only I'd be more wary that how long Amazon. What's the year graph looking like, Ben? I'd be worried about how much Amazon EU have been in stock at that lower price for how long. I'd want to see if like if FBA sellers were still making sales with Amazon EU still being like well, how much they're still selling with
Mhm.
Amazon EU on listing, then I'd probably go from there. But I definitely agree regarding there's not many people at that lower price, and yeah, the seller account rise looks scary, but actually when you open it up like this, it's not as bad as it actually first looks.
Yeah, and I think so. I probably, just to confirm, I wouldn't go for this if Amazon EU hadn't been dominating the buy box for the last 3 months. If it was just FBA sellers, well, yeah, actually, I probably would because no one's got that much stock. I just think that w with Amazon EU, kind of really, it's like they've been really dragging the sales per month down because they've been dominating the buy box and it's a crap delivery time. So I really expect this to kind of start selling like 120 plus a month once they disappear from the listing. Obviously, it looks like they've been in stock for a fair bit, so hopefully they don't just replan. But yeah, I expect this to start flying out, and no one's got that much stock until we get to this person here where we're making 60% ROI anyway. So yeah, that's a really interesting one. Cool. So should we have a look at the next one? This is 1228. And we're gonna switch that off. Cool. So this one quite similar in terms of profit and ROI to the last one. I can see it's just FBA on the buy box. So let's have a look at the keeper graph. So yeah, we got close up view now on. So yeah, 2242 down to 2105 looks quite scary now, even though it's quite a small drop. Whereas yeah, it looks great if you look at
So
that.
much
Yeah.
different, isn't it? It's so much different.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually. So yeah, so this has been a pretty stable price for the last 3 months. The offer count has stayed nice and low, which is good. SAS is estimating 24 a month, which looks about right based on just looking by eye at the keeper drops. So you've got two sellers here. One of them's got 30 plus and one of them's got eight. So yeah, you're going to get a good share of the buy box. So if you jump on here, you're going to get a third of the sales. So one seller with a lot of stock is a lot better than a lot of sellers with no with one or two stock in terms of buy box share. So this isn't necessarily a red flag. Here's a little tip so you can see, unless they actually have a quantity restriction on, you can see how much they have. So SAS will always say 30 plus, as will the buy box. Obviously, it's the other seller with eight who are on the buy box at the moment. But if you go to data and then offers, where are we? Let's just find this guy. Southside Supplies. So here we go. So 30 plus obviously could mean they've got 31. It could mean they've got 500, but you can see here they've actually got 36. So the info in here, unless they've got a quantity restriction on, is going to be accurate. So you can use this. So when SAS says 30 plus for a load, you can see what they've actually got by looking in the data tab here, which is a nice little tip. Um, so in terms of listing, so because this guy's got 36 and 8, so there's what 44 so there's about 2 months worth of stock here. The price hasn't really, so there was a bit of a weird freak out here, but I'm just going to ignore that. So 22.79 is pretty much the highest it's been in the last 3 months. I'm just going to zoom out to the year and yeah, it doesn't really go above 22.50. So yeah, I think there's better opportunities available to put your money here. Like with the last one, you can see that the price is going to rise quickly, and because FBM have been on the buy box significantly, the sales are going to improve, and we can sell it for a bit higher as well. Whereas with this one, it just looks like this has been constantly at this price. It's actually at the top now, and it's still not making us that much money. And it's this. Is it yeah, Southside Supplies, like they were still on it last summer and things like that. So I suspect they just constantly replenish it. Let's just have a look within here. So yeah, you can see they've pretty much been in stock for most of the last year, and they've yeah just replenished up to 36, which is the highest that they've had in the last year. So that tells me that they're pretty much not going to change their price, and they're pretty much the anchor of this listing. And they're just going to basically hold out at this price, and you're not going to make any more. So if you're happy making £2.31 and 19%, it's more than you get if you leave it in the bank. Then by all means, jump on and take a third of the listings. But personally, I think there's better opportunities elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you see something drop below your criteria, like this, and when you put it into SAS, you come onto the keeper graph and you look straight away to see, is this just a blip where it's tanked down for, a week out of the last however many months, and then take it from there. But yeah, in this case, we can see actually no, it's just been consistent for a long period of time, so it's
Hmm.
probably one to move on from.
Yeah, so Pasha just asked, what do you think jumping on a listing that sells 50 plus per month with five sellers who have 30 plus stock each? So unless one, so when sellers have 30 plus stock, my first just check is to see if it's the brand themselves, because obviously you don't want to jump on a listing with the brand on the listings. It's an IP concern. But if it's just regular arbitrage sellers, so yeah, if it sells 50 a month and there's five sellers on it, they're making 10 plus sales a month each. I would more than happily jump on. So yeah, five sellers with 30 stock each is much better than 30 sellers with five stock each, because if there's 30 sellers on it, you're going to get a 30th of the buy box share. If there's five sellers on it, you're going to get a fifth. So yeah, like a lower number of sellers each with a high amount of stock is a much better scenario. So yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to jump on that listing as long as one of those sellers isn't the brand themselves. Right, let's have a look at the next one. So this one is 1122.
Another one with this type of off accounts. Ben,
Yeah,
can you debunk it?
let's have a look. Right, so yeah, the profit and ROI looks better than anything we've looked at before. Off account has just risen, but yeah, let's continue to have a look. So as we can see, this price is absolutely all over the place. So this is quite an interesting one. Um, Not so much all over the place if you don't use the close-up view. This is a lovely little tip. So and the buy box has been on and off as well. This is a great example of the buy box being suppressed affecting the sales, because you can see this period here where there was no buy box, the sales rank jumps up here, because obviously it's more difficult to purchase from a buyer's point of view. And then once the buy box returns, yeah, even though this is kind of a similar price, the sales rank goes to being much better. So firstly, SAS is almost certainly underestimating the sales per month, because the current sales rank is so much better than the 90-day average. So SAS is saying 100 plus, but if we put in, so it looks like it's consistently been around, we've been below 10,000 recently. The 30-day average is so the 30-day average is 29,000, but I'm not going to include this period where the buy box was suppressed. I'm going to assume that the buy box is going to stay, and you can see if we strip everything else out, it's pretty consistently been sort of between 5 and 10,000. So if we stick 7,500 in beauty in here, it's going to be pretty insane. Let's have a look. So yeah, 420 a month, which is obviously pretty insane. So yeah, this is absolutely flying out. And as long as most of these 30 sellers haven't got tons of stock, like if it's selling, even if you say, oh, this might be overestimating, let's just call it 300, unless these sellers have all got 10 each, there's still going to be less than a month's worth of stock. So let's have a look. And there are two sellers with quite a lot of stock, but everyone else, yeah, no one's got significant stock here. Let's just keep going. So there's one seller with 30 plus. I'm going to just assume that's 30, but you can see that there's only 300 in stock. So even if you take if you take the difference between SAS and Ascent, it's there's still only about a month's worth of stock. So these sellers are going to start dropping off as quickly as they rose up. So and it's already a pretty good profit in ROI. So I would buy this even expecting to sell it at this price. So yeah, this wouldn't put me off at all. I would buy this and I would be pretty happy. So there's 30 odd sellers and it's selling 300 to 400 a month. So yeah, I would quite happily buy 10 of these and be very happy about it. And I think this is the minimum price that you're going to get as long as Amazon keeps the buy box, because obviously you can see there's a big effect in the sales when it's not there. But yeah, this is another example of the offer count recently rising not being the end of the world and an automatic ignore for a listing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. Loads of your listings are like that, Jacob. I don't think it's like this common to see this.
No, absolutely not. Usually, when the listing account, usually when the offer count jumps up like this, it's an automatic no go. But this just shows that if you look into the data a little bit more, actually, these listings can be good. And yeah, we've seen two good examples of that. Oh, that's why
It's
you put
like
these on.
Jacob has about 30 friends who are really good at holding their.
Yeah. So are you? Have you got a VA, Jacob, or are you sourcing these yourself, or are they from groups, or? Cool. So these four are from his VA. So yeah, the interesting deal. So let's have a look at the last one, and then I think we've got one more from Aiden as well. Cool. So the price of this was 25.15, and then I'll just switch that off. Cool. So another one where the offer count's risen, but it's only slightly this time. So Profits profits decent. ROI is okay. SAS estimates 16 a month. Again, a beautiful example of the lack of buy box showing the sales. So you can see this sold pretty well in December. Part of that obviously was due to Christmas. And then in January, end of December and January, there's literally three sales in this pretty much month period. But then the buy box comes back and it starts selling more frequently again. And obviously, yeah, it seems like Amazon decided 49.99 was too high, but yeah, 45, 46-ish was okay. And then the sales resume once more. So yeah, so 16 a month. It's probably not selling 16 a month because this factors in this period in December. So particularly in the beauty category, if there's stuff that's sold well in December but not so well since, just be aware the SAS is factoring in this period of heavy sales in because it's based on the last 90 days. So yeah, I'm just going to count the drops in February manually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it sold about 10 in February. So yeah, I'm going to assume that it's going to sell 10 instead of 16. Um, let's have a look at the stock levels. So yeah, it's only so this is an interesting one. It's only selling 10 a month. There's 10 sellers, apparently 11, but I can only see 10 of them. But one, two, three, four of them only have one in stock, and two only have two in stock. So actually, the offer count is going to drop back down. Obviously, it could keep going up, but like if you were to merge all these sellers with one and two into one, then there'd only be kind of four or five sellers in. So you can probably make a case for either just moving on from this one because there's too many sellers and it's not selling 16 a month, it's selling more like 10. So you're only really going to get one sale if you're lucky. But you could buy it on the assumption that in a couple of weeks' time, once your stock gets into Amazon, a lot of these sellers with just one in stock are going to have dropped off. The profit is still decent. So unless this seller with 20 decides to tank the listing, you're still going to make £4 or £5 profit. So yeah, well, I would probably buy a couple of these based on the fact that there's a lot of sellers with very few stock, but you could also make a case for just moving on from it because there's a lot of competition on the listing.
Is this a section free risk, do you think? Is the brand on at the top left on Seller Amp different?
Oh yeah, possibly actually. I
I
suppose
would just check the EAN in that GTIN checker, and
yeah.
if it comes up as Clinique, I just press on. If not, then
Yeah, the brand on the listing also says Clinique, right? In
yeah,
Yeah.
certain
that's why
places.
I never know how true these things are, but yeah, I think it comes from listings where apparently the EAN doesn't match the brand or something along those lines.
Hmm. But yeah, that's strange that SAS has the brand here. Let's have a look at the data. Brand, Clinique, manufacturer, Comkey. So yeah, that's the manufacturer, not the brand by
Right.
the look of things.
I think as long as the brand matches, I think it's fine, right?
Hmm.
Because it's not a lie. But who
And
knows? Who knows? Probably the EAN checkers are good.
yeah, what's
Good
have you
boost.
got the link for that to hand? I'll stick that EAN in that. So does every drop on the rank indicate a sale? So but so when an item's selling kind of fewer than 20 a month, the drops tend to be quite big like this and obvious. But there are also smaller ones. So if we zoom in here, there's a very little drop here from like 37 down to 27,000 and here from 45 down to 33. So basically the closer to zero you get, the smaller these drops are. And there was a bug around they started a couple of years ago and then it reared its head about 6 months ago as well, where there were lots of really tiny little fluctuations in the sales rank, which SAS and Keeper would count as drops, but they weren't actually sales. And there's probably an indicator. So this here, it wouldn't be a sale. It's gone from 53,053 down to 52,498. So if there's a sale when something's a 50,000 sales rank, you'd expect it to drop down to like 33 like this. It would be a significant drop. So this drop here may be picked up by SAS, but wouldn't be an actual sale. But yeah, if you zoom out to the 3 month view, then yeah, each significant drop is a sale. So you can see that they're more regular here. So all these are probably sales. But what you'll see if there's a listing that's really really good, you'll find that the sales rank tends to be more flat because it needs to be selling a lot just to maintain a really good sales rank. So if we just find a random item, let's just find a Clinique item that's selling better. If Keeper ever loads. So let's just take this as an example. So here you can see this is in the top 1500 so this is selling 400 plus a month. If we put the sales rank of 1500 into a cent, it's going to be a lot more than that. So yeah, this is like selling 2000 a month. Clearly there's not 2000 drops here, but it needs to be selling a lot just to maintain this sales rank. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. So if something's in like the top probably 0.5% of a brand, then don't count the drops. But yeah, if something is here, so this is yeah 1.63%, and it should be pretty clear where you can see distinct drops like this, where it's fairly obvious where the sales are. So hope that makes sense. Dark Benz, I thought Clinique was hard gated.
Yeah, so I think this is where this would be a section three risk. So basically, people set up their own listings to
Hmm.
get around the hard gatings, so that they can sell the product, but under a false EAN. In the background, I've checked it. It's like, this is where it's weird because I don't know if sometimes you can edit listings or because Amazon have been on the listing. I think when Amazon have been on listing, it's not a problem. But you check the EAN of this on the GTIN thing and it pulls up for me. It pulled up a like a Chinese company which has got
Hmm.
absolutely no affiliation to Clinique. So I don't know if that maybe I'm looking at the wrong one or anything.
I'm not going to select fire hydrants. I'll take your word for that, Harry. But yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, this listing is like 10 years old.
yeah. I don't know how it works completely. I just know when the manufacturer name doesn't necessarily add up, and you put
Hmm,
that in. Sometimes you can get a different name on the GTIN checker. That doesn't mean that it's false because there can be like umbrella companies that own Clinique.
yeah.
So just check that if that's the case, then whether they
Mm.
own.
Yeah, fair enough. But so that aside, yeah, you could make this is pretty marginal. There are about as many sellers as there are sales per month, but a couple of them, well, half of them have got one or two in stock. So yeah, you could buy like two or three of them, or you could just skip over it. You can make a good argument for both. What would you do, Harry?
Yeah, I mean, when it really depends on what your kind of situation is. If you've got a lot of capital to spend on deals, this might not be a too bad of one to because, like you said, it's better than having your money sat in the bank doing nothing. But there's quite a long history of it selling it, and its current ROI is quite low. So it kind of, I think it just kind of case by case. It really depends.
Hmm. Gage, are you going for this?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit weary of that Section 3 thing.
Hmm.
Um, but given the brand says Clinique, I think I'd go for it.
Yeah, and the listing's 10 years old. If it was like created in the last 90 days or something, I'd be a bit more skeptical, but I think you're probably all right with such an old listing. Cool. Let's have a look at this one to finish off then. So 864 buy price from Aiden. So, oh, this looks very good at
Aiden
first
just sent
glance.
this to Flex on us that he's bought this for 864.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
I mean, this
Yeah.
looks like an absolute no-brainer. So, yeah, this one very stable. It's pretty stable price even with the close-up view. Sales rank is insane. It's in the top 0.15%. So yeah, this looks like a bit of a no-brainer. So yeah, last 30 days sales rank 8455. So whenever something's in the top 0.5% or has been consistently, you want to stick it into the sales estimator because when things are selling kind of probably 50 or more, SAS tends to now say just 50 plus, 100 plus, which doesn't really give you that much info. So this will be selling more like 300, but I suspect it'll be closer to 1,000 if we punch in 8455. I don't know why it's not showing the category. Oh, health and personal care. There we go. So health and personal care. Was it 8,000?
Yeah, 8,500, I think, something like that.
Okay, so 450. Cool. So where are we? Yeah, so let's call it 450. Um, wow, the offer
Aiden's
counts.
saying there's a bit there where it drops off in the previous history where something goes a bit weird.
Okay.
Do you want to zoom out and we'll see if it might.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. Oh, that is
I feel
odd.
like it's
So
too far, it's too long ago to give a shit, would be my
yeah, this
would be
is
my view.
yeah, yeah,
you can tell who the sellers have been around for 4 or 5 years. It's like, oh, well, it's so long ago, it doesn't really matter anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
I bet, and you can see anyway that most of the sellers came back on anyway. And then there was a brief period here, but the offer count was just 1 to 0, so that's just people selling out. I mean, yeah, there's nothing really bad to say about this deal. I mean, it's 31% even with me being VAT registered. So yeah, this is absolutely insane.
Usually, I think that happens when there's like a product safety complaint. They just like remove everyone, or if like the product page just gets pulled for
Hmm,
whatever reason.
yeah, but maybe
That wouldn't it wouldn't stop me buying this.
maybe
Definitely
so someone's baby must have downed a bottle of
not.
mouthwash
Down
or something.
a load of mouthwash.
They blamed it on the
Um,
mouthwash.
Yeah, but yeah, something to bear in mind here is that it looks like there's not much stock, but you can see that this seller has a stock limit on. So whenever you see this green in stock, it means that the seller has 16 or more in stock, because if they did have three in stock, it would say only three in stock. And basically it says that all the way from 15 down to one. If it says green in stock, they've definitely got more than yeah, more
I didn't
than
know that either.
15.
So
Yeah, there
every
we go.
day's a school day.
Indeed. So for that reason, I think we're not going to be able to use our cheeky little trick here. Yeah, it just says three plus for those. So yeah, this seller's genuinely got 10.
And you
But
can
yeah,
also tell as well, because like people have got loads of reviews that are the top two there.
yeah,
They've been on since last year, and like
yeah,
there's no way they've not sold one
yeah,
with that
exactly.
sales rank. So you can quite clearly tell when people have got all limits on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, I mean, it looks like the sellers are all behaving themselves for the most part. There's not much fluctuation in price. So, yeah, everyone's basically just taking a sixth or a seventh of the 400 plus sales per month, and hopefully you're joining them, Aidan.
I think the only question is how many.
Only got 15. Oh, yeah, you gotta pump up those numbers. Those are rookie
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah, nicely done. Cool. So yeah, any other items you guys want us to look at? It's been a really good interactive session,
Yeah.
especially considering this is our first one since way before Christmas. So no, this is fantastic, and hopefully yeah, a sign of things to come. So hopefully you guys who have joined tonight, and especially those who have contributed to the call, will join us for our next one. And if you've got anything you would like us to cover in the next ones, just yeah, drop us a message. Just yeah, stick it in general chat or whatever.
And hi
Um,
to anyone that's watching the recording.
yes, indeed. Oh, been great to have you lads back. Thanks, Aidan. Great to be back.
Oh,
No, good stuff. But no, I've really enjoyed that. So yeah,
Yes, no.
thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Any final thoughts or anything you guys want to mention?
No.
let's
See you on the
smash
next one.
2025, lads.
Indeed, let's do it.
Cheers,
Cool.
guys. Thanks very
Catch you
much.
later. Have a
Cheers.
good evening. Cheers. Bye.